All right, today what we're going to do is I'm going to go over the worksheet on circles. By the way, I haven't done a video on how to do a worksheet, but when I graded this for the people who turned it in, some of you had a lot of trouble. And also, there was other people who haven't turned it in yet, so maybe you're having a lot of trouble. So I thought it would be a good idea just to go over it with you to make sure you understood what it was you were supposed to do with circles. Obviously, I probably didn't do a good enough job teaching it to begin with, okay? So, first of all, you had a circle like this, and then from the middle outside, you had 5 centimeters. And I asked you to do 4 things with this. The first thing I asked you to do was give me the diameter. Now, what you need to understand is diameter is the distance all the way across. But I only gave you half of that distance. So if you know the diameter, how can you get if you know this one, half the distance, how can you get the whole way? You multiply it by 2. So the diameter is equal to 2 times the radius, that is the radius. So that equals 2 times 5 meters, which equals 10 meters. By the way, it doesn't just equal 10. A lot of you have given me what Mr. Balone, who used to teach here science, called naked numbers. You're giving me numbers with no measurement on it. You can't give me naked numbers, all right? So diameter is 2 times the radius. 2 times 5 is 10. Now, the second one asks for the radius. Well, that's from the middle out. I gave you that, so that's 5 centimeters. So I gave you one, and you needed to find the other one. All right. Now, number 3 asks for circumference. And here's where you have to use your formula. And just like with perimeter and area of polygons, if you know the formula, you write the formula, you replace the variable with its value, and you work it out. And just like I told you for perimeter and area, you can use your calculator to do the calculation. So it should be very easy if you know the formula. The formula says pi times diameter. Well, pi is 3 1400ths. It really isn't 3 1400ths, but it's approximately 3 1400ths because pi actually goes on forever. But we just use 3 1400ths, the rounded approximation. And the diameter, as we found, was 10 meters. So if you multiply 3 1400ths times 10 meters, again, you don't need a multiply because you have a calculator that can do it for you, and I am letting you use it. But if you did do it, your answer would come out to equal 31 4/10. And then finally, I asked you to find the area. Once again, you have a formula which says pi times the radius squared. Again, replace pi with 3 1400ths. Replace the radius with 5 centimeters. By the way, please notice I made you find the diameter and the radius because you need to use both. You use the diameter to find circumference, you use the radius to find area. Anyway, now you kind of need to know the order of operation because you got multiplication and exponents. What should you do first, multiply or exponents? The answer is powers or exponents. So 5 to the centimeters squared would be 5 centimeters times 5 centimeters, which would be 25 square centimeters, okay? Because 5 times 5 is 25, centimeters times centimeters is square centimeters. And then you multiply 3 1400ths times 25 centimeters. And again, you have to do the work. You don't have to do the work because you have a calculator. I have to do the work because I don't have a calculator, okay? And again, I'm not worried about you knowing how to do the work because I'm assuming that you'll have a calculator. But the answer comes out to be 78 5/10, but not centimeters, and not just 78 5/10. It's 78 5/10 square centimeters. And again, no naked numbers. All numbers must have units of measurement on them. All right? So That was actually the first 4 problems. Diameter, radius, circumference, area. If you know the diameter and you know the radius and you know the formula, it's easy to find circumference and area. But where most of you are having most of your trouble is you're not writing the units of measurement. Now, the next circle I gave you, this time I gave you the distance all the way across, was 8 inches. So again, when I asked you for the diameter is the distance all the way across. So my diameter is equal to 8 inches. I gave it to you. That was very easy. That was number 5. Number 6 asks you for the radius. Well, the radius is only halfway across. How do you get half of something? You divide by 2. So radius is equal to diameter divided by 2, which is equal to 8 inches divided by 2, which is equal to 4 inches. So if you know the diameter, you can find the radius by dividing by 2. And if you know the radius, you can find the diameter by multiplying by 2. Again, the next thing I asked you to do is circumference. That would be equal to pi times diameter. Again, replace pi with 3 14/100ths and replace the diameter with 4 inches. Again, you have a calculator to do the calculation for you. I don't. 16 carry you 1, 5, 12. 2 places beyond the decimal problem. Your answer is 12 56/100ths. But it's not 12 56/100ths. It's 12 56/100ths inches. Again, you must put the unit of measurement on it. And finally, area of a circle is equal to pi times the radius squared. Replace pi with 3 14/100ths. This time, replace the radius with 4 inches. I made a mistake up here. Yeah, I put 4 inches as the diameter. This was 8 inches. Boy, that's horrible for me to do that. Okay, luckily I caught my mistake. Diameter times pi is 8 times 3 14/100ths. I guess it's been a long morning already for me. 32 carry you 3, 11 carry you 1, 25. Let's try 25 12/100ths inches. Again, even I make dumb mistakes sometimes when I'm going too fast or not thinking. But for circumference, you have to use diameter. For area, you have to use radius. By the way, the reason I caught my mistake is because I noticed I used 4 for both of them. And diameter and radius are not the same thing, so I knew I made a mistake. Okay, so pay attention to that yourself when it happens. Anyway, order of operation, do exponents first. 4 squared is 16. Inches times inches is square inches. So I get 3 14/100ths times 16 square inches. Then I can multiply 3 14/100ths times 16. You have a calculator you can use to do that. And again, even when we're back in school next year, you'll have a calculator to help you do that. And the answer comes out to be 50 24/100ths square inches. And again, a lot of you got problem points off just because you didn't put the right unit of measurement. Circumference is a straight measurement, area is a square measurement. Okay, and again, no naked numbers. So, I hope you're getting the idea of it now. Again, you were having trouble with it before. That's why I'm going over this worksheet, even though I usually don't. The next one, the circle, I gave you all the way across again, and I said it was 9 feet. So the next question, number 9, asks you for the diameter, and that was easy. It was all the way across 9 feet. Now, number 10 asks you for the radius, and again, the radius is diameter divided by 2, which would be 9 divided by 2, which, by the way, 9 doesn't go into 2 evenly. It goes 4 times remainder 1. And usually you can write your remainder as a fraction or as a decimal. But right now, I think you want to make it a decimal. And you say, but Mr. Dew, can I make it a fraction if I want? You can, but I don't think you'll want to. And you go, well, why not? And I say, because you're dealing with pi, which is a decimal, and you can't multiply a decimal times a fraction. So it'd be better to make your remainder a decimal. Anyway, your radius comes out to be 4 5/10 feet. And again, it's not just 4 5/10, it's 4 5/10 feet. No naked numbers. The circumference is equal to pi times diameter. Let's make sure I don't make a mistake this time. Pi is 3 14/100. The diameter is all the way across 9 feet. Okay, and again, I have to multiply 3 14/100 times 9. That's 36, carry your 3. 9 and 3 is 12, carry your 1, 28. That's 28 and 26/100 feet, not just 28 and 26/100 feet. 26/100, you have to put feet on. And last one, area is equal to pi times the radius squared. Again, pi is 3 14/100. The radius this time is 4 5/10. By the way, it's 4 5/10 feet, and you got to square it. Again, this is where having your calculator helps a whole lot. I wish I had one right now, because I have to do exponents first. 4 5/10 times 4 5/10. 25, carry your 2. 20 plus 2 is 22. 20, carry your 2. 16 and 2 is 18. Again, I'm doing this kind of fast because you don't need to do it. You have a calculator. Then I have to take 20 and 25/100 square feet, because 4 5/10 times 4 5/10 is 20 and 25/100. And I got to multiply that times 3 14/100. And this again is why you want to have a calculator, because you don't want to have to do what I have to do right now. Okay, 20, carry your 2, 8 and 2 is 10, carry your 1, put a 0 here. Again, with a calculator, this is so much easier, but I don't have one right now. So, count places. Your answer comes out to be 63 and 585/100 square feet. And again, the unit of measurement is very important. Circumference is just feet, area is square feet. By the way, I told you that when we were dealing with polygons, yet still a whole bunch of you are getting problems wrong because you don't have the right unit of measurement. By the way, the next quiz you take, all right, you'll have perimeter and area of rectangles, squares, triangles, trapezoids, parallelograms, and you'll have circumference of circles and area of circles. In all those cases, remember, perimeter and circumference are straight measurements. Area is always square measurements. Now, finally, the last circle on this worksheet. By this time, you should really have it down if you understand what you're doing. But this time I gave you halfway across, which was 6 meters. So number 13 asks you for the diameter. And again, it's all the way across. So diameter is equal to 2 times the radius. This was the radius. So it's equal to 2 times 6 meters, which is equal to 12 meters. Number 14, the radius is equal to 6 meters. And you don't have to do any work. Number 15, circumference is equal to pi times diameter. Replace pi with 3 14/100. Replace the diameter with 12 meters. And then multiply 3 14/100 times 12. Again, use your calculator if you're smart. And you come up with an answer of 37 and 68/100 meters. And finally, the very last one, area is equal to pi times the radius squared. Pi is 3 14/100. The radius is 6 meters, and you got to square it. That gives you 3 14/100 times 36. 6 times 6 is 36. Meters times meters is square meters. And then you have to multiply 3 14/100 times 36. 24 carry you 2, 8, 18. 12 carry you 1, 4, 9. And you get an answer of 113 400 square meters. And again, I normally do not give videos on worksheets or homeworks, but I did it this time because so many people seem to be having trouble with it. And you're having trouble with it for a couple of reasons. One reason is you need to know the difference between diameter and radius. And you need to know when to use the diameter and when to use the radius. Don't make a mistake like I almost did and use the radius when I'm supposed to use the diameter. All right? And then the second problem is you need to know the right formula. And you need to do the right work. If you have a calculator, that shouldn't be a problem. And then the last problem is you need to put the right unit of measurement. There is no naked numbers. It's not 12, it's 12 meters. It's not 6, it's 6 meters. It's not 37 6800, it's 37 6800 meters. And it's not 113 400, it's 113 400 square meters, because area is a square measurement. I hope this helps you. And again, you will be taking a quiz on this stuff plus the other stuff we had, which is all the stuff that we're going to learn about geometry for now. Okay? Next year we'll learn some other stuff. So good luck.